Hello, welcome to the news on Sansad TV at 9 p.m. I'm Bhawna Nayar. We'll be tracking the pulse of Gujarat that will be going for elections in the next few days. The latest from the day 3 of the FIFA World Cup and much more. First up, the top 5 headlines this Tuesday evening. Prime Minister Modi distributes over 71,000 appointment letter as part of government's Rozgar Mela to new recruits. Launches online orientation course Karam Yogi Prarambh module for all new appointees. Australian Parliament approves free trade agreement with India. Date of implementation to be decided by mutual consent. 1,621 candidates in the fray for the Gujarat Assembly elections. Campaigning for the first phase in full swing. India jumps up 2 places in Climate Change Performance Index. India's ranking highest among large economies. And Team India wins India-New Zealand T20 series 1-0. Next Men's T20 World Cup to be played in new format. And after the top headlines, a quick look now at some more important flash news. 9th India-EU Foreign Policy Security Consultations held in New Delhi. Both sides praise enhanced intensity and political momentum in the relationship. Economic cooperation and trade agreement with Australia will significantly open up opportunities for Indian businesses, says Piyush Goyal. Prime Minister Modi instrumental in forging consensus on joint statement at G20 summit in Bali, says American Principal Deputy NSA John Feiner. 4th edition of Indo-Pacific Regional Dialogue from November 23rd to 25th. Indian Navy expresses its strategic level engagements through its annual conference. Union Minister Dr. Jitendra Singh calls transparency, accountability and citizen centricity hallmarks of Prime Minister Modi's governance model. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh meets his Cambodian counterpart, underscores immense scope to boost bilateral defence cooperation. Russia offers new technologies and solutions for enhancing efficiency of reactors at Kudankulam Power Project. Small plane crashes in central Colombian city of Medellin, killing 8 people on board. China's return to Formula 1 schedule to be cancelled next year. Beijing's zero COVID policy leads F1 to conclude race cannot go ahead. And mixed fortunes for India at FIDE World Team Chess Championships. Post win over Azerbaijan before being outclassed by Uzbekistan. And the lead story this hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi distributed over 71,000 appointment letters to new recruits via video conferencing today. The move is part of government's Rozgar Mela. The Prime Minister also launched the Karam Yogi Prarambh module, an online orientation course for all new appointees in various government departments. Prime Minister Modi said that thousands of youth have been given government jobs in NDA-ruled states and union territories in the past 1 month.
जिन पदों पर आपकी नियुक्ति होने जा रही है, उसे आपने कठिन परिश्रम से कड़ी प्रतियोगिता में सफल होकर हासिल किया है। इसके लिए आपको और आपके परिवार को भी उतना ही हक है बधाई प्राप्त करने का। मेरे युवा साथियों, आपको ये नई जिम्मेदारी एक विशेष कालखंड में मिल रही है। देश अमृत काल में प्रवेश कर चुका है। हम देशवासियों ने मिलकर इस अमृत काल में भारत को विकसित बनाने का प्रण लिया है।
He said that youngsters were the biggest strength of country and the government was making every effort to ensure that their talent was utilized in nation building. A total of 71,056 appointment letters were distributed. Physical copies of appointment letters were handed over at 45 locations across the country, except Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh, where the Model Code of Conduct is in force.
वोकल फॉर लोकल हो, लोकल को ग्लोबल ले जाने का अभियान हो, ये सभी योजनाएं देश में रोजगार और स्वरोजगार के नए अवसर बना रही हैं। यानी सरकारी और गैर सरकारी दोनों ही क्षेत्रों में नई नौकरियों की संभावना लगातार बढ़ रही है।
Moving on to our next big story, the Australian Parliament on Tuesday approved the free trade agreement with India. Both countries will now implement on a mutually agreed date. Australia and India signed the agreement in April this year. To help us understand what the deal would mean to both the countries, let's take a look.
Australia's parliament passed bilateral free trade agreements with India and Britain on Tuesday, leaving those partner nations to bring the deals into force. The deals are crucial for Australia to diversify its exports from the troubled Chinese market to India and to Britain's need to forge new bilateral trade relations since it left the European Union. The bills easily passed the House of Representatives on Monday and the Senate made them law on Tuesday. The deals need to be ratified by the respective British and Indian parliaments before they take effect. Under the Australia-Britain deal, more than 99% of Australian goods exports will be duty-free, including sheep, meat, beef, dairy, sugar and wine. Taxes on 90% of Australian goods exported to India, including meat, wool, cotton, seafood, nuts and avocados, will also be removed.
So it's a win-win for us on both sides. Imports coming cheaper on the raw material side or intermediate goods will help us become more competitive in other markets, will help Indian consumers get goods and services at competitive prices, and this will help our industry add jobs, add work opportunities, help our startups and stakeholders of different industries.
Australian Prime Minister discussed the deals with his Indian and British counterpart last week on the sidelines of the Group of 20 summit in Indonesia. The Australian PM said he would visit India in March to advance the deal that was signed in April. The deals would come into force 30 days after countries have advised each other in writing that the supporting legislation has been passed by their parliaments. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
And let's now track all the latest from poll-bound Gujarat. A total of 1,621 candidates are in the fray for the Gujarat Assembly elections after the deadline for the withdrawal of nominations got over. Elections to the 182-member Assembly would held in two phases on 1st and 5th December. For the first phase, 788 candidates are in the fray for 89 seats. Second phase will see 833 candidates contesting for 93 seats. The ruling BJP has fielded candidates on all 182 seats, while Congress has fielded candidates on 179 seats. Congress has allocated 3 seats to the NCP as part of a pre-poll alliance. But with the NCP candidate withdrawing his nomination for Devgarh Baria seat, the party is contesting 2 seats now. The AIMIM has fielded candidates in 14 assembly seats, but its candidate withdrew from Bapunagar seat. Talking about Aam Aadmi Party now, it has fielded candidates on all 182 seats, but its candidate withdrew his nomination from the Surat East seat, so it will end up contesting 181 seats. Counting of votes for both the phases will be held on 8th December. Moving on, the Meghalaya government has shut internet services in 7 districts of the state for 48 hours. The move comes after 6 persons were killed in violence at the Mukro village near the Assam-Meghalaya border early this morning. Violence erupted after a truck allegedly laden with illegally felled timber was intercepted by forest guards from Assam. A forest guard is among those killed. Meghalaya police has registered an FIR in the case. Condemning the act, Chief Minister Conrad Sangma has ordered an inquiry into the incident. Sangma said that he had also spoken to Assam Chief Minister, who had assured him of cooperation.
I've spoken to the Assam Chief Minister this morning and I briefed him about the incident. He is also aware about the incident and our discussion was very brief and he has assured that whatever can be done from the Assam government side and whatever cooperation is required for any kind of steps to be taken or any kind of inquiry to be done, that he will be there and he will support.
And now positive news for India. India is ranked among the top 5 countries and the best among the G20 nations as per the Global Climate Change Performance Index. India has jumped 2 spots and is now ranked 8th as per the Climate Change Performance Index 2023. The latest CCPR report was released at COP27 earlier this month. The report shows Denmark, Sweden, Chile and Morocco as the only 4 small countries that were ranked above India at 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th respectively. The first, second and third ranks were not awarded to any country. In effect, therefore, India's rank is best amongst all large economies. Published annually since 2005, the Climate Change Performance Index is an independent monitoring tool for tracking the climate protection performance of 59 countries and the EU. India has condemned North Korea's recent intercontinental ballistic missile launch, joining the US and a dozen other nations in slamming the move. India's permanent representative to the United Nations Ambassador Ruchira Kamboj said that at the UN Security Council meeting on North Korea on Monday. She said the proliferation of nuclear and missile technologies is a matter of concern as they have an adverse impact on peace and security in the region. Kamboj said India calls for full implementation of the relevant UN Security Council resolutions relating to North Korea. Take a listen.
India condemns the recent ICBM launch by the DPRK. This follows other ballistic missile launches in the preceding months, following which the Security Council had met. These launches constitute a violation of the resolutions of the Security Council relating to the DPRK. They affect the peace and security of the region and beyond. India calls for full implementation of the relevant UN Security Council relations relating to the DPRK.
And I look now at some more news from across the nation. Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla has sent the Electricity Amendment Bill 2022 to the Standing Committee on Energy Affairs and examination and consideration. The committee will present the report within 3 months. India and UAE will take forward their comprehensive strategic partnership, said External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar as he met UAE Foreign Minister Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed Al Nahyan in the national capital on Tuesday. UAE Foreign Minister bin Zayed Al Nahyan is on official visit to India. He is accompanied by a high-level delegation. BSF today foiled 2 infiltration attempts from Pakistan. Security forces killed an intruder while the other has been arrested. Infiltration attempts were scuttled by alert BSF troops in the Arnia sector of Jammu and Ramgarh sector in Samba district of Jammu and Kashmir. In the second instance, alert troops opened fire on a Pakistan intruder when he was noticed aggressively approaching the border fence in the Arnia sector. A Delhi court extended the police custody of accused Aftab Poonawala in Shraddha Walker murder case for 4 more days. The court also permitted Delhi police to conduct a polygraph test on Aftab, who allegedly killed and dismembered the body of Shraddha Walker. Slipping into a very short break here. News continue on the other side. Do stay tuned.
Those in favor, please say aye.
जो सदस्य विरोध में ना गए,
I think the ayes have it.
हवालों के पक्ष में हुआ।
Ayes have it. The bill is passed.
Welcome back after the break. You're watching the news, and now let's take a look at all the latest from the Russia-Ukraine war front. Ukrainian authorities have started evacuating civilians from recently liberated sections of the Kherson and Mykolaiv regions. They fear that a lack of heat, power and water due to Russian shelling will make conditions too unlivable this winter. Ukrainian Deputy Prime Minister Irina Vereshchuk assured people that the government will provide transportation, accommodations and medical care for them. Officials also suggested that residents in Kiev or elsewhere who have the resources to leave Ukraine for a few months should do so in order to save power for hospitals and other key facilities. The World Health Organization has warned that millions face a life-threatening winter in Ukraine. WHO's Regional Director for Europe, Dr. Hans-Henry P. Kluge, said that attacks on health and energy infrastructure mean hundreds of hospitals and healthcare facilities are no longer fully operational. He also warned of health risks, including respiratory and cardiovascular problems from people trying to warm themselves by burning charcoal, wood, diesel generators and electric heaters. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky repeated calls for NATO nations and other allies to recognize Russia as a terrorist state. He said that he also discussed the situation at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear plant as well as the energy security of Ukraine and Europe with French President Macron over a phone call. He also called for withdrawal of all Russian troops from the nuclear plant. Ukraine's SBU security service and police raided a 1,000-year-old Orthodox Christian monastery in Kiev early this morning. The security service of Ukraine said that the raid was a part of operations to counter suspected subversive activities by Russian special services. The SBU said that the search was aimed at preventing the use of the Kiev monastery for sheltering sabotage and reconnaissance groups, foreign citizens, weapons, storage, etc. And time to see what's happening in some other parts of the globe. The death toll from the earthquake that shook the Indonesian island of Java reached 268 on Tuesday, as more bodies were found beneath collapsed buildings. 151 people are still missing. Authorities say that 1,083 people were injured in the 5.6 magnitude earthquake that hit Monday afternoon near the city of Cianjur. More details in our next report.
Rescue workers searched through rubble on Tuesday after a powerful earthquake killed at least 252 people and injured hundreds on Indonesia's main island of Java. 31 people are still reported to be missing. More heavy equipment reached the hardest hit city of Cianjur in the country's most densely populated province of West Java, where the magnitude 5.6 land-based quake struck Monday afternoon. Terrified residents fled into the street, some covered in blood and debris. Damaged roads and bridges, power blackouts and lack of heavy equipment previously hampered Indonesia's rescuers after the quake set off a landslide that blocked streets and buried several houses and motorists. Power supplies and phone communications have begun to improve in the quake-hit areas on Tuesday. Many of the dead were public school students who had finished their classes for the day and were taking extra lessons at Islamic schools when they collapsed. West Java Governor Ridwan Kamil said as he announced the latest death toll in the remote rural area. Hospitals were overwhelmed by injured people and the toll is expected to rise further. Roughly 175,000 people live in the town of Cianjur, part of a mountainous district of the same name with more than 2.5 million people. The people of the district live mostly in towns of 1- and 2-story buildings and in smaller homes in the surrounding countryside. Indonesia's Meteorology, Climatology and Geophysical Agency recorded at least 25 aftershocks. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
Moving on, Malaysia's election uncertainty deepened on Tuesday after a political bloc refused to support either candidate 3 days after divisive polls produced no outright winner. The stalemate put the spotlight on the nation's ceremonial king, who summoned the two leaders to resolve the impasse. Take a look.
Malaysia's opposition leader Anwar Ibrahim and former Premier Yassin arrived at the Royal Palace on Tuesday for an audience with the king, who said he will pick the next Prime Minister soon after the leading two contenders failed to win a majority. King Al Sultan Abdullah made the announcement on Tuesday but did not specify timing for his decision, as the political crisis from an inconclusive election dragged on for a third day. Saturday's election resulted in an unprecedented hung parliament, with neither Anwar nor Yassin winning a simple majority needed to form a government. Riot police in helmets and shields kept a watchful eye as a small handful of Anwar supporters chanted slogans outside the Royal Palace. The election prolongs political instability in the Southeast Asian nation, which has had 3 prime ministers in as many years, and risks delays to policy decisions needed to galvanize an economic recovery. Bureau Report, Sansad TV.
And talking about Nepal elections now, the Nepali Congress ANC has won 3 seats in the House of Representatives so far in the parliamentary elections held in Nepal. The CPN-UML has 1 seat. Nepali Congress opened its account in Kathmandu district with its candidate Prakash Mansingh winning the Kathmandu 1 constituency. The counting of votes started on Monday. Voting was held on Sunday for the House of Representatives and 7 provincial assemblies in the Himalayan country. The ruling Nepali Congress also won a seat in Manang district. And more news in global wrap now. A powerful magnitude 7.0 earthquake struck near the Solomon Islands on Tuesday afternoon, triggering a tsunami warning. There were no immediate reports of widespread damage or injuries. The quake's epicenter was in the ocean about 56 kilometers southwest of the capital, Honiara, at a depth of 13 kilometers. Hazardous waves are possible for islands in the region, the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center has said. But it also advised that there was no wider tsunami threat expected. 36 people were killed and 2 remain missing after a fire broke out at a plant of a trading firm in central China. It took firefighters more than 4 hours to douse the fire that broke out on Monday in Wenfeng district of Anyang city in Henan province. The cause of the fire is yet to be ascertained. The United States and its allies strongly condemned North Korea's latest intercontinental ballistic missile test and called for an action to limit its nuclear and missile programs, but Russia and China opposed any new pressure and sanctions on Pyongyang. Russia's deputy UN ambassador said that the reason for the situation in Washington's desire to force Pyongyang into unilateral disarmament by implementing sanctions and exerting force. US Vice President Kamala Harris on Tuesday visited the Philippine island of Palawan in South China Sea. China claims almost all the South China Sea, which is believed to contain massive oil and gas deposits and through which billions of dollars in trade passes each year. Harris pledged the United States would defend the Philippines if it came under attack in the waterway, reaffirming Washington's commitment to its former colony. Iranian security forces uses heavy gunfire against protesters in the Kurdish town in the country's west on Monday, killing at least 5 during an anti-government protest that erupted at a funeral of 2 people killed the day before. Videos circulating online show dozens of protesters taking shelter in alleyway as gunfire echoes through the streets. And time now for some quick sports update with focus on FIFA World Cup 2022 in Qatar. The third T20I of the New Zealand-India series ends in a tie. India were at the pass score of 75 for chasing 160 under the Duckworth-Lewis method when rain interrupted play. India win the series 1-0. Mohammad Siraj named the man of the match. Surya Kumar is man of the series. Australia beat England by a massive 221 runs to clean sweep ODI series 3-0. Both Aussie openers Travis Head and David Warner score hundreds. England bowled out for 142, chasing 363 under Duckworth-Lewis method. In the first major upset of the FIFA World Cup 2022, Saudi Arabia came from behind to beat Argentina 2-1. Messi's penalty had Argentina in the lead for the first half. Saudi Arabia, however, scored twice in the second half to be the winners. After the first upset of the World Cup, the first goalless draw of the tournament was played today between Denmark and Tunisia in Group D. A pair of late goals from Cody Gakpo in the 85th minute and Davy Klaassen in the last minute of regulation time helped Netherlands secure a 2-0 victory over Group A opponents Senegal in their 2022 World Cup opener. And with that, it's a wrap of today's bulletin. Do stay tuned to Sansad TV for more news and updates round the clock. Thank you for watching. Good night. Namaskar.